Freedom is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The big government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
My name is S.M. Gibson, and this is Anti-Media Radio, September the 8th, 2015. Are you tired of the corporate agenda? Are you sick of the mainstream narrative telling you what to believe and how to feel? Well, you've come to the right place this evening. If you just got done watching CNN and Don Lemon talk with Wendy Williams, breaking news, or Fox talk about Hillary for the 20th hour today, or MSNBC and Lawrence O'Donnell selling books, none of it's real info, none of it's the truth, and we're about to get into it right now. As always, in the studio, our producer, Mr. Shannon Madden. Shannon, how are you?
Yeah, breaking the news. How about broken news? How about broke the news? Broke it straight in half.
Exactly what
Let's
it is.
fix it real quick, shall we?
Let's do it. Here's a few things that the corporate media keeps to themselves while they're talking to Donald Trump for the 20th time in the day. 820 Americans have been killed by police officers so far this year. In turn, 83 officers have died in the line of duty, but those stats include 22 killed by automobile accident, 13 by heart attack, and 24 by gunfire. In fact, there's a large population out there, including presidential candidate Scott Walker, that would like you to believe that it is worse now to be a police officer than it ever has been. And the truth is, for the past 20 years, it is the safest that police officers have been in 20 years. The stats have dropped that much. Meanwhile, police killings of citizens are at a 40-year high. So when Scott Walker talks about a disturbing trend of police officers getting killed, he says that it's not the America that he grew up in. What he failed to mention were the actual statistics of that. And on September the 3rd of Reagan's 7th year in office, Ronald Reagan, who he would have grown up, that would have been his president growing up, up to this time, there were 576 officers that were killed over the course of his presidency. For Barack Obama, it's only 314. Hopefully that number can be down to zero, as well as the number of citizens getting killed can be down to zero. I personally don't want to see anybody getting killed on any side of the situation, but for them to suggest that it's more dangerous now to be a cop, that's just propaganda, and they're trying to steer you away from real issues, and more importantly, they're trying to instill fear into you. Speaking of fear, the city of Chicago has strict gun laws. 2,059 people have been shot in the city of Chicago since January 1st, 2015. 355 homicides. Just over Labor Day weekend, there were 54 people shot and 9 people killed in the Windy City. And then, Shannon, we can talk about this one for a second. Saudi Arabia has beheaded over 130 people so far this year, or executed 130 people, which 95% of are beheading, public execution. They have just come to visit Barack Obama in Washington, D.C. They rented out the Four Seasons. And when I say the Four Seasons, they rented out the whole thing, 222 rooms.
Is Barack Obama, he's still president, right?
He is.
Okay, I was unclear on that.
Also, Saudi is in the news for more than just beheadings, and they're in the news for more than renting out 222 rooms at the Washington, D.C. Four Seasons. Some Indians that were fishermen in Yemen, right off the coast, were killed by Saudi-led airstrikes. They weren't hurting anybody. They weren't harming anybody. There were 22 people dead. India claimed that 20 of them, at least 20 of them, were citizens of India. You know, no harm, no foul when Saudi Arabia does it. If that had been Syria, you know, the world would have come to a screeching halt.
Waving an ISIS flag and there being one of those really slick videos to accompany it, yeah.
So you have to pay attention to when they say somebody is doing something. Well, who else is doing the same thing? Is there an American ally doing the exact same thing? Are they having the exact same barbaric behavior? And if they are, then ask yourself, well, what's the agenda here? Because we see all these refugees coming over everywhere. They're everywhere, and it's just horribly sad and terrible. I'm starting to get the impression that there is a push from the governments to take in these refugees, for the reason being that gives them headway to take out Syria. They want Assad gone. They've wanted Assad gone for a long time now. And they are doing whatever they can to make that happen. We've seen the absolute horrific picture of the child washed up on shore. You know, his family was trying to make it to Greece. And it really is a horrific, gruesome scene. But if you look back at the strikes on Gaza last summer by Israel, there were so many pictures of so many children that were just, you know, murdered by bombs or, you know, invading force. That didn't make it on the news. That wasn't an excuse to go bomb somebody. That wasn't a reason to shove fear down people's throats. But the U.S. wants Assad gone. Plain and simple. And it is, and it's nothing more.
But America's not over there fighting this war. That's Saudi Arabia.
Oh, that's Yemen, though. We're talking about two different things. The United States is involved in Syria as you want to get. And then here's another thing.
Both sides, if you want to get down to it.
And here's something that just makes absolutely kind of no sense whatsoever, is they are now using this, well, Russia's going to support Syria, you know, Russia's going to do this with Syria. This is breaking headline news, Russia, Russia, Russia. It's like Russia has been involved in aiding Syria in one way or another since they became free from France completely in 1946. This isn't breaking news. Unless it's 1946, this isn't breaking news. But again, the fear machine, the war machine, the cogs are turning fast. You can feel the wind coming off of them right now. So what's going on in your world, Shane?
Well, here in the good old American heartland, we got our buddy Kim Davis got free from jail.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, that happened. Kim Davis, for the uninitiated, is the Kentucky clerk who has vowed that she will not issue any marriage licenses because same-sex marriage is now recognized by the Supreme Court. So she's taking her own little personal crusade, and I'm not going to issue any licenses. Now, it's very strange. Again, we broadcast from here in Birmingham, Alabama, and we have several probate judges here in the state of Alabama that have also refused to issue any marriage licenses as well. That's not on CNN, primarily because it's kind of the way that our state law is worded, and the fact that somebody's going to have to sue them in federal court, and nobody's really got around to it. Because most folks will, instead of going to those less progressive counties, will go to a county that will marry them. But that kind of brings us back to the whole point of why, and I don't stand with Kim Davis at all. I have been a very vocal proponent for same-sex marriage.
I think she's a distraction from the real issue.
Absolutely. Why is government, and we've said this on this broadcast numerous times before, why is the United States government involved in the issue of marriage to begin with?
Can we take a step back here, and to your point, let's try to throw some stats out here and see where we get with this.
Okay.
First off, it's no secret. I'm not ashamed of the fact that I am a Christian. Do I agree with Kim? How many Fox News watching conservatives, well, if he would have just obeyed the law, if Eric Garner would have just obeyed the law, he wouldn't have been choked out. You know, that's crazy. And now it's happening to the conservative camp, and it's just she's been completely oppressed.
And again,
she's still alive.
And again, think, for all of the listeners out there, think for half a second, throughout the course of today, how many laws, no matter how small and minuscule they were, how many laws did you break today?
Where was this woman? And this topic should not be about her, but where was this woman, okay, when our country was bombing and killing all these people overseas, okay? Murder, the government giving somebody a sheet of paper and they're getting some credit on their taxes. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. Was she on the front lines talking about people getting killed?
I don't. She was going through in the middle between her second and third.
I personally don't know. I can't tell you if she. Maybe she was.
Sanctity of marriage.
I can't tell you if she. Maybe she is the biggest advocate against war, and maybe she, I don't know. Okay, I can't claim to know her, but anyways, off of her, because I think she is nothing but a distraction to get people away from the real issue, and that is government. Government is the problem.
And again, to galvanize the left and the right, get everybody fighting again, and keep everybody unfocused and keep everybody distracted from the real issues at hand.
Okay, let's talk about marriage licenses in this country real quick. First off, from Black's Law Dictionary, a marriage license is defined as a license or permission granted by public authority to persons who intend to intermarry. Now you may ask me, what does intermarry mean? Intermarry is defined by the same publication, Black's Law Dictionary, as mixed or interracial marriages.
Whoa,
Right.
whoa, back up now. So what you're essentially telling me is
So miscegenation laws, I'm an idiot and can't speak, but that's okay. In this country, in the 1800s, they then started having people get licenses in this nation
to prove that they were marrying somebody of their race.
No, it was the opposite. If you were going to marry interracially, you had to get one of these licenses. Okay, so what it was then...
So wait a minute. So in other words, you wouldn't have to get a license if you were married within your race. But if you decided to marry outside of your race, then...
You had to get the license.
Oh.
But then some states started applying it to all marriages. just here and there. In 1923, they passed what is called the Uniform Marriage and Marriage License Act, and it was a federal law, but it was in 1929 that every state eventually adopted marriage laws and marriage licensing laws. But this is something that is really new in modern times. I mean, again, we're talking about the 20s here of when this really took place. And again, it was all started because of people marrying interracially. And yet we have all these people using these religious arguments saying that this license, because in their head, God is government or government is God. I don't really know what their thought process is there. And I can't claim to know, but I can tell you that the government has no business in your personal life, Sharon, and doesn't have any business in my personal life, period.
Because if somebody wanted to get married back before this came into fruition, it was basically done through the church, through your local congregation.
Right.
That's if you wanted to get married, and some folks didn't even do that. They just declared themselves as married, had some kids, and that's everybody around you. While they got kids together, they're married. Well, we can go on about that for hours.
We can. I'll tell you what.
Kim Davis is out of jail. Screw her.
Yeah, who cares? Whatever. It's all distraction. I want to get right now on the line to our fantastic, brilliant, genius,
Keep going.
beautiful, Miss Claire Burnish. How are you, Miss Claire?
I'm good. How are you?
I cannot complain. Actually, I can, but nobody's going to pay attention.
Oh, you're going to do plenty of podcasts. We already know that. Hey, Miss Claire, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing splendid. What you got for us tonight?
Well, something a little different. Now that Nestle is kind of wrapped up for the time being, at least.
Screw Nestle. Screw those guys. I'll never eat a Crunch Bar again.
What was that?
I'll never eat a Crunch Bar again. I'm done. No more Crunch Bars.
That's all they make, Shannon.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I don't think we need any more of those or anything else by that company. But anyway.
Hashtag boycott Nestle.
Nestle gets no love. Boycott Nestle right now.
Exactly. Okay, so it looks like the American Egg Board ran a targeted campaign of basically not disinformation, but like self-promotion at the expense of a very small startup vegan company who has a couple of kind of egg substitute products, like one being a mayo substitute and one being an egg substitute, that I guess were pretty popular in making some headway.
So basically, somebody stupid like myself, basically what you're saying is this company was a semi-minor threat to the egg industry because what they were making was an egg substitute. Right.
It was a plant-based egg substitute. And so the egg industry saw that as a big threat, and they launched this kind of attack campaign. They tried to enlist the help of, and they did in a couple of cases, unwitting bloggers were paid like $2,500 to post kind of pro-egg posts, for their recipes and things like that. They tried to enlist a celebrity chef to help out on the campaign. I mean, this is kind of crazy. Keep in mind that the board of the American Egg Board is actually appointed by the Secretary of Agriculture.
Why do we have an American Egg Board?
Well, the same way we have like the Beef Council and things like that, I guess, to promote, American industry. But because this is partially, involved in the government, this is a very, very iffy and likely not really technically legal thing for them to do.
It doesn't seem too much on the up and up.
No, it's definitely not. And I mean, it was really bad. I mean, this was I guess the Guardian revealed over 600 internal emails. In one case, the Egg Board was told to contact another government agency and try to influence policy that way, which is, of course, a big no-no. So, I mean, this is pretty bad.
And we're sitting here talking about, well, it's eggs, eggs. But we're talking about a very financially well-off, that's an understatement, lobby.
It's a $5.5 billion industry, yeah.
So, it's lobbyists.
Yes.
That's
the
basically
American
what it
Egg Board is essentially a lobbyist and a PR wing of that industry.
And it really amazes me that any food product needs any kind of lobbying whatsoever. I mean,
you have to eat to survive.
You want to sell more steak, all you have to do is get a 30-second spot of somebody standing there grilling a steak. No audio, no nothing except for the sizzle of that steak on that grill. Well, I want your steak right now. See, I mean, I just saved the Beast Council how much money? They
owe you some money.
There's some people out there right now. It's like, what, a steak does sound pretty
We'll work
good
on that.
right now.
We'll get in touch with them more. They owe you something.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, there's got to be some money there for me to make.
Somebody's eating a steak right
we
now.
see the same thing with energy special interests, lobbying groups that have fought so hard to keep alternative energy sources out. We have so many states coming up now with these laws about living off the grid or prohibiting you from living off the grid. And this is more of the same.
Well, tell me, it kind of, to me, it ties in a little bit to the Nestle story. Because to me, Nestle is just their own lobbying firm. They're just that big of a corporation. But we're talking about, a lobbying firm representing all these companies and doing their will and doing what they want and bypassing laws, whatever. And Nestle's doing the same thing, except they don't have to have all that backing because they are the backing. It's like Trump running for president, basically. He doesn't need the money because he has the money. Same with Nestle. They've got the money. They don't need anybody representing them.
And again,
I would agree. I would agree with that for sure.
I don't understand, though, why there's been this big push for the Ag Board to go again. And again, what was the name of the company that's actually involved in this?
It's called Hampton Creek, but originally it was called Beyond Eggs. And, of course, the government's little plan and carrying out of this ad campaign was co-opted that title and used Beyond Eggs as their campaign.
Ah, that's clever. Well, it's just like the lawsuit that's going on right now with their other product, Real Mayo, which is a mayo substitute that does not have actual real eggs in it. It has this egg substitute, which is plant-based. And again, it's an alternative to eggs. And look, I ate a big old pile of eggs. I had breakfast for dinner tonight. And I had a big old pile of eggs before I come over. I absolutely love eggs. I can eat real eggs, but there's some people with egg allergies that have to use an alternative. People that are very are looking out for their cholesterol. Some people that are absolutely vegan that will not eat eggs at all, whether it be dietary concerns or just a simple lifestyle choice. I mean, it is. Well,
it's also a concern about animal rights and stuff. The way that the animals are kept in cages, and some of them never touch, their feet never touch the ground and stuff. I mean, there's some legitimate concerns.
Yeah, there's a lot of documentaries you don't know watch.
Oh yeah, I've seen a couple of them, and yeah, I still love eggs. Does that make me a horrible person?
You're a horrible person, but not very
eggs.
But yeah, I do see parallels with that in Nestle. It just seems it's true of almost any corporation or industry. It's like they're so intertwined, the government and industry and private business, that they can pretty much do whatever they want, and we just kind of are, we suffer the fallout.
But that goes back to the fact that the United States is officially listed as an oligarchy now. I mean, that is an oligarchy in action. The rich few at the top controlling everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say so. I usually call it a plutocratic corporatocracy because I think that's a little bit more accurate, but it's most certainly at least an oligarchy.
I can't pronounce those words, so I just go with oligarchy.
I'm good either way. We're screwed either way. I mean, either way, us here at the bottom that are not a member of the 1% are screwed.
Oh, that's absolutely true.
And now it's more apparent than ever, more out in the open than ever. Because, again, people will read this story as they're drinking their coffee.
Eating eggs.
And eating their eggs. And they'll scroll right past it and not think, oh, well, that really sucks for them. I hope it works out for that company, without realizing the implications that it has on their own lives. We have a product being taken off the shelf for no other reason than competition is politically squeezing them out because they can't do it by any other ethical means.
Exactly.
Just put their product right next to the to the product that's on sale. I mean, whatever happened to that? Isn't that what apparently made this country so great? You get a good idea, you put it on the shelf, it sells, and bam, everybody's got a fridge.
That was the idea originally, I think. It seems we've lost track of that a bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, well, this is where we're headed, everybody. No, this is not where we're headed. This is where we are.
Oh, yeah, we're way past headed anywhere. We are planted. We are ensconced in the situation right now.
Ensconced, that's a nice way to say it. We're being screwed is more to the point. We're being screwed. Out and out, bent over the table, screwed.
That's what they want.
Yep, it's 1986 for sure.
84. It's actually
86. We've gone beyond that.
I agree with that, actually. Well, in that case, it's probably right about 2015. We're probably right in the year.
I think it's more closer to the point. What was that Dr. Dre track? No Vaseline. We are Eazy-E. That's all I'm saying.
Dr. Dre. I'm not going back down that road tonight.
Oh, I went there.
So what else is going on in your world tonight, Miss Claire?
Well, that's pretty much it. I'm going out. I'll be going out to visit some of the scenes of what's going on with Nestle not long from now. So that should be interesting. But that's down the road. I'm just trying to gather thoughts for that.
Well, I know everybody is looking forward to the next article in the series about Nestle. I know, the last article, the second article you wrote just reached hundreds of thousands of people, but that was the one that was pulled by Reddit.
Yep.
And we had another instance of that today, by the way, of Reddit posting an article on Reddit that it wasn't allowed because of the publication. It gave me a list of these websites, which theantimedia.org was not on that list.
Yeah.
And they sent me a message back and said, it's something wrong with your account, we'll get it fixed. But the list includes people like Ben Swan, Free Thought Project, people we work very closely with and know these people. So it seems to me...
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess that's not surprising, actually, considering what we've been through and experience. I mean, I think it's because, independent media is really an honest threat. We're not reporting the propaganda, so somebody has to squelch that somehow.
I think they feel like because they have the financial resources that they're still in control here. But this information is leaking out to people. I hate to go down this road, but we're coming up on the anniversary of 9/11 here. Who in this country really still believes 100% the government's narrative?
Oh, there's a few of them out there. Most of them are blindly voting for Donald Trump.
Are there anybody that really believes that?
They were former Palin supporters. Yeah.
I don't believe that. I don't believe anybody in this. Well, maybe. I'm. What am I saying?
Yeah, really.
I think we need to go full on idiocracy. If Trump is elected, God forbid, if he's elected, then he needs to just go the full 9 and make Sarah Palin the head of Department of Education.
Well, I should mention here that Trump was found in a survey to place higher than any of the Democratic presidential candidates recently.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Did you see the poll that came out today where, I can't remember if it was a national poll, whatever it was, but Bernie Sanders is getting like 20% of the Democratic vote. Joe Biden, who is not running, who has not suggested he's even running, has 22% of the vote.
Yeah.
And Hillary's down to like 40.
And Hillary was pretty much their hand-picked. This is our go-to. There's nobody else even needs to run. It's going to be all Hillary all the time.
And I thought it was funny. She came out, I guess yesterday, she said that she's not going to be apologizing for her servers or emails, anything like that. And she actually came out today and apologized for it. But I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Miss Claire, thank you so much. I know we'll be talking to you soon. And we look forward to hearing what is next up on your agenda. You always are not only educating the public, you're educating me for sure. I don't know about Shannon; he may already know all that stuff. But
No. I always do education when I talk to Miss Claire.
But keep up the good work, man.
Thank you. Good night, guys.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Claire. Well, again, more of the same. And we're paying for it. This is something that we pay for. We pay for this on both ends. Would you buy eggs last?
Oh, well.
Well, it's been a while. Y'all don't do the egg thing in your household, do you?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, and you could have had yet another tasty alternative, and so you better grab them up now.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I'm not opposed. People do their own thing. That's the thing about freedom. That's what freedom is supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about a giant corporation or a giant lobby with a bunch of money telling you what you can or cannot do, and when the free market works, they just come in and undercut them and take them out with their influence, which is what's happening with the story that will be up tomorrow sometime on the antimedia.org. For those of you who are just tuning in tonight, we have already covered a number of issues. If this is your first time listening, I am your host, S.M. Gibson, and I'm joined by Mr. Shannon Madden, our wonderful producer. I tell you, to me, the Middle East thing is a really big deal right now. I know the media is focusing on the Kim Davis situation, and I think that is easily summed up as why is the government involved in any of that. But we're talking about, when we see these refugees, it makes me, I said it earlier, and I just believe this is a ploy to go in there and take out Assad. They tried this 2 years ago. They told everybody, if the United States doesn't go in there and start blowing Assad away, and we don't go to war, that all these horrible things are going to happen. The end of the world's going to come. It's just, doomsday scenario. The people rose up. They spoke. We did not go to war against Syria. And guess what happened? Nothing. Bashar al-Assad is definitely not a perfect man by any means whatsoever. And he definitely has his own faults and his own problems. That being said, it certainly appears to anybody that's paying attention to the actual situation that he is doing everything he can to fight ISIS and get ISIS out of this country. ISIS is continually coming across weapons that we used to, that we made. However they're getting them, who knows? That's.
You played Contra before. You wander through the stage and you shoot somebody, and then eventually, a grenade will come up, and then you grab their grenade and you can collect them like that. That's probably that's how they're getting it. But it's
G.I. Joe video game.
Yeah.
Cobra.
Because ISIS has killed. How many thousands and millions of American soldiers?
Not very many.
Oh yeah, not that many at all.
But and it's the irony is, okay, ISIS is. They're doing what they're doing in Syria right now. And yet, Western media is saying, we have to take out Assad, we have to take out Assad. And yet they at the same time tell you to be fearful of ISIS. Which is it? They're not clarifying anything here. They're just telling you fear, fear, fear. That's what they do. That's what business they're in. And you know what? They're good at it. They are. Fear. Are you scared? Are you? Because you need to be.
Yeah. I'm terrified. I'm terrified of what comes out of Washington these days.
You need to give up. You need to.
A lot more than I am what's happening in some sandy spot across the Middle East. My heart goes out to the Syrian refugees, and there will be, all said and told, a year from now, over a million of them displaced. And that's the ones that don't get killed or gunned down in the street or get hit by a cluster bomb. Or did I say that out loud?
Yeah, exactly. Saudis been caught doing it in Yemen. Let's go to a call right now. Area code 832. Welcome to Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight.
My name is Chris. I'm calling from California.
Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I was actually calling two parts. One, I follow you guys on Facebook, and I always see that you put, listen to our radio show and stuff like that. So, is that like a podcast that I can get?
Yeah, you can actually catch old episodes of Anti-Media Radio on YouTube from UCY.TV, and every radio show that we've recorded, you can go back and listen to.
Okay. Yeah, because I haven't been following what you guys have been talking about tonight, but I would like to talk about this whole Kim Davis thing that's going on.
Bring it.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts on it are that this wouldn't be an issue for anybody if the government would just say, hey, look, we aren't in the marriage business.
Dang.
Because this is the thing. She is, whether you agree with her beliefs or not, she's standing up for a conviction that she feels very strongly about. And her opposition is doing the same thing. Both sides are exactly right. Both sides are standing for whatever God they believe in, whatever moral path that they're trying to go down. They're both doing the same thing. It's just leading to a different end. If the government would say, hey, look, I'm out. I'm done. We're not going to issue marriage licenses. It's not a federal thing anymore. Nobody will get hurt. Nobody. Gays will still be allowed to get married. She'll not have to. People like her wouldn't have to put their signature on something that they feel strongly against. It's just. But what happens is this. Okay, people sit there and they get so wrapped up around the axle over she's right, she's wrong, these people are wrong, these people are right. That if both sides of this conflict would come together and take that energy and focus it on to the true problem, the common denominator in every problem, then the problem will get solved. And a lot of people say, oh, well, you know what, she's a federal official, she needs to do her job. But as long as there's one said voice, as long as there's one authority making the decision for everybody, somebody is always going to be oppressed, always. Right now, before the same-sex ruling, gays were oppressed. Now it's Christians are oppressed. What's going to happen in 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years down the road when this ruling is overturned and now same-sex marriage is no longer legal? And then it's back to gays being oppressed. Nobody wins as long as there is one central authority making the decision for everyone. And I don't think people grasp that. I don't think they grasp it.
Amen, because the common denominator you're talking about, again, is the United States government. And this is not an issue. This is an issue of states' rights. It isn't an issue of whether the government thinks it's right or not. This is actually a religious issue. And churches, and I'm talking about all churches, not just Christian, but Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, whatever you have. There's also some Christian denominations that have eased and relaxed their restrictions on gay marriage, like the Episcopalians, for instance. The Episcopal churches and some of your offshoots have allowed for gays to marry in their church in the states.
But here's the thing: the issue we're talking about, ultimately, we're talking about somebody, expressing and for what they believe in, but at the same time, it's just like Chris from California said, it goes back to the government. That's the problem. The government steps in and it lets everybody fight amongst themselves. Meanwhile, they're the problem. Look at overseas. They do the same thing over there.
I think, and you know what? A big part of me thinks, and I don't want to go way out in left field because I know when people start talking about this, it's always, they always picture the person saying it as a tinfoil hat wearing type of person. But really, it's kind of, you don't know if it's some evil plan that they're doing to keep us divided, or if it's just poor judgment, But either way, whether you're one of those people that think there's just some divine evil plan in the background, or you're one of those ones that says, "Hey, look, there's no conspiracy; they're just making extremely horrible judgment calls." It's irrelevant
It's the same outcome. You're right. It's the same outcome.
Yeah, it's the same outcome. It's the same exact outcome either way. And everybody's like, "Oh, you can't change the government. Nobody can change the government." Well, you know what? I've done a lot of research into Iceland, and I've seen what Iceland did. I watched how the Icelandic people came together peacefully. They overthrew the corruption. That led to the government that remained to overthrow the corruption that was corrupting the government. And that country completely pulled itself out of this huge global recession. So it can be done.
And
what needs to happen is everybody needs to come together.
Excuse me. Forgive me. But the irony, to back your point up, is that the EU, like we were talking about earlier, fear, you pump fear into people. The EU was telling them, if you do not bail these banks out, your whole economy is going to collapse. You're going to be in this horrible, it's going to be just, chaos. It's going to be Thunderdome in Iceland. It's going to be what happened to Greece, basically. And they killed the bankers, and guess what? Strongest economy goes.
It's funny how that works.
Yes, exactly. I think, and I might be wrong, but I think they're the first country and during that part of the world, during this big global meltdown, who actually pulled themselves out. And the only way they done it was they got rid of the corruption. They got rid of the government. But now we're bunny trailing. Back to the Kim Davis thing. I've talked to people who said, you know what? She's a government official. That's the law of the land. It doesn't matter what her belief is. She should have done it, or else she'll be fired, or else she needs to go to jail. My argument to that is, to those people who think that, is simple. Okay? There were German soldiers who got shot and killed during World War II because they would not go along with the Nazi regime. Are they justified in their deaths because they did not go along? They were government officials. They refused to go along with the law of the land. You take a look at Harriet Tubman. Slavery was the law of the land. Okay, she went against it. Was she wrong? For somebody to be in a government position and saying, "Hey, look, this is not right," that doesn't mean that those people need to be crucified. If anything, that needs to be. If anything, I think that's something that needs to be looked at. They need to be put up on a pedestal, regardless of what their belief is. If you agree with the belief or not, doesn't matter. You need to look at them and say, "Look, they're in the government, and they're even saying that this stuff is crooked. It's not right."
I tell you, I can go a step further. And to me, it really doesn't boil down to the issue at hand. It has to do more with the government's involvement, telling people this, that, and the other, because this is ultimately a case of the government has ordained you can do this, you must now do it. And it goes back to the government thinking it's God. But real quick, she got off because of the Religious Freedom Exemptions Act, and that's ultimately why they were jailed today. Because, she didn't have to do that, whatever her thoughts are. But I tell you what, thank you so much for the call tonight. Absolutely fantastic call. We're going to now move on to area code 347. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight. Boom. That happened.
Well.
So, I think the caller, made some really good points, Shannon, and it does go back to the government telling people what they can do. And they say, well, she's a government employee, but you have to remember, it's the government. It's the government. Government it's ridiculous. Why is the government involved in any of this to begin with?
Well,
why?
And if you remember the whole Confederate flag flap that we had about removing the flag from the South Carolina State House, which I obviously 100% agree with. I think it should have been removed. It was a very offensive symbol to a lot of folks. This falls under that same heading, I think. Because, again, she is now, if she was at a local pastry shop and she refused to serve gay folks or this, that, and the other, hey, you have the right to refuse service to anybody.
But what authority, but here's the thing, what authority? First off, when we're talking about the flag flying on top of a building that is being paid for by your tax dollars, that's completely different.
She is paid for by the constituents of that county.
That's true, but this is it's all symbolism. When you really think about it, it's all symbolism, but it does go back to a legal status of tax exemption, and it falls back on that legal status. And to me, because that's hinged in there, when you're talking about a flag, it's purely symbolic. And it is what it is, and it represents certain things to certain people, and so it's an easy fix. You're not really stepping on anybody's toes by taking the flag, and you're not. It should, it's a state-run. It shouldn't have been there to begin with. It's a state. Your tax dollars are paying for that. Again, the whole eBay Duke Sanders thing, that's stupid. But the State House, that's a no-brainer. But what we're talking about here is the argument is which side of the government is more powerful. Because, okay, think about it like this. We're talking about the government when these miscegenation laws came across. You had to get a license if you're intermarried, which is an interracial relationship. That's when we started having to kiss the feet of the government. So what I'm saying is, why is anybody involved in whatsoever? Because it's giving government more authority. That's all the government wants. They don't care if there's gay marriage. They don't care if there's not gay marriage. They don't care. They want your money. They want power. They want to be able to control you. If the government was concerned about people having freedom to do anything, meanwhile, first off, this is the same government, like we're saying, we're giving people freedom. The NSA! You're giving people freedom.
Freedom Act.
Are you?
The Act of Freedom. Yeah.
Are you giving? Is this about freedom?
Freedom.
Because I can name about 10 different points about where you could care less about it.
Freedom.
So no, this is not about freedom. If it was about freedom, the government would get out of the way, period, on both sides of the issue, because it's not the government's business. Period. Out of the way, both sides. No roadblocks. Do what you got to do.
Well, I think the state of Alabama had it right when they introduced the legislation that what we actually talked about this on the show.
And you're right.
Why we didn't go forth with that, we would have been probably the most progressive state in the land as far as that thing's concerned. Because
remind people what that was real quick.
It was legislation that would essentially remove all need for government out of the institution of marriage. You could actually go to a probate judge, or you could go to a lawyer, or you could go to the church or a minister of your choice, priest of your choice, guru, whoever. As long as they were an ordained minister, which you can go to a website and get ordained for like $30 or something, like $40 or something. Anybody can get ordained. And that pretty much it eliminated government's involvement in allowing you a marriage license. Basically, you got married at one of these entities, you filled out the necessary paperwork, and then you went and submitted it to the county clerk, and the county clerk at that point in time, or here in Alabama, a probate judge, the probate judge wouldn't have any authority whatsoever to grant you the license or deny you the license. All they simply had to do was see that a minister, lawyer, whoever, a notary public, whoever, you fill out the proper paperwork, you'd have the proper...
It's still government! You have to fill out paperwork!
Well, and
that's crazy.
But that was actually for keeping up with birth records and so on and so forth. That's all that was a strictly record-keeping situation. That's what the government would be reduced to in that capacity, which is what they should have been reduced to.
Right. They should be record keepers. They should be glorified librarians.
Because before the laws that you just mentioned, that's how you got married in America. You just basically, two people got hitched, you started having babies, and bam, you were married.
Here's the irony. Here's the complete irony of this.
Worked it out with the clergy, and that was it. It was done.
Listen, here's the irony. The people that are definitely like full-fledged, Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, they're about the founding fathers, and that whole thing, and that's fine. But guess what? George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, the list goes on. Guess what? No marriage license because it didn't exist in this country. The founding fathers, that's what they always say. The founding fathers. They didn't have a marriage license. What are we talking about? The argument works all ways here.
Well, the founding fathers had one thing or did not have one thing that Mike Huckabee has, and that is some badass skills on a bass guitar. You ever heard that man play bass guitar?
It's a little cheesy to me.
I don't know. I think he plays bass guitar a lot better than Bill Clinton.
No, give me Clinton.
I like him. I really do.
I think Clinton's better at finding people.
Wouldn't let him around my sister, but I do like Clinton.
Yeah.
That's a fine cigar.
But why do people, look, it's everything, okay? It's everything. It's everything we've discussed, and it's literally everything we've ever discussed on this show. It falls back to government. Why do people expect government, like they don't realize you have the power. You have the power tomorrow to change your life. You have the power to change your reality. You have the power to change everything. It's like if somebody is just screaming and nagging at you, just going crazy. Guess what? That person that's out of control, they have the power to stop just like that. They can stop screaming. They can stop what they're doing, and they can let their heart be filled with love. Move forward.
It's not that easy when there's just so many things to hate out there. Hate these damn Republicans. Hate these damn Democrats. Hate these damn gay people. Hate these damn straight people. Hate these black folks. Hate these white folks. All this division that has been set up and set in place, and it's perpetual motion. It just keeps going. It keeps going. It keeps going. And when the fire starts getting lower, and we all start joining together just a little bit, then bam, there's this other divisive news story comes down the pike, and then the White House has to make a statement, and the government swoops in, and don't you worry, we're going to have a bunch of new laws and regulations and fines, and we're going to take care of this problem. Government is here for you.
They are, and you don't believe it's about division because you're either with us or you're for the terrorists.
That's right, terror.
The evil word. You're one of them.
Oh yeah.
I
get it all the time when I'll comment on a Facebook post and have somebody will post something hard right, and I'll put up a countering point on there or disagree with it in some fashion, and automatically, you must love Obama. No, actually, I think Obama's one of the worst presidents we've ever had.
But that happens with everything.
And people can't comprehend that. Well, wait a minute, you don't like Obama, but you don't like the Don Trump and that weird hairdo he's got. I mean, he wants to build the wall. Who doesn't want to build the wall and get all the dirty Mexicans out of here? Are you serious?
That's what they want. That's what they want. That's insane.
So because I've chosen to elect a more loving and compassionate viewpoint on that, then suddenly, then you wanted them Obama tree huggers in, huh? How'd that work out? And I literally had a family member hit me up on this the other day. Well, how'd that work out for you? No, it didn't work out for me at all. It's certainly not working out for you. And the person that you're talking about putting in place is definitely not going to work out for you. Now, you'll feel better about it because Fox News is telling you so every night. Just like the hard left feels okay right now because we've got Obama. But everybody knows we're going to get us a Republican president because that's already been preordained by the media. Wonder how that happened.
Well, it ain't just the media. The media is just the mouthpiece of the finances.
Absolutely, and it's above and beyond the United States government, because the United States government, just like in the story that Claire told us about, the ongoing story of Nestle, all of the other many stories that we talk about week in and week out on this show about corporate interests buying and selling American politicians that we put into place. That's how laws are not only enacted, but enforced. And it all comes from the top. And it's way above and beyond American government. American government is all that is a conduit for which they're able to do work and make billions and billions and billions and more. That's it.
And it's for everybody. It's for these corporations especially. They don't care about human rights. They don't care about people.
There are only two factions, everybody, and it's not white and black. It's not gay and straight. It's not, Hispanic or non-Hispanic. It's not all of these other folks, Democrat and Republican. It's not all these different factions. It's the haves and the have-nots.
The only color that matters to the people in charge is green.
Absolutely.
Period.
That's it. And in some cases, red in order to get that green.
That you said it. They're not afraid to spill it, that's for sure.
And that's what's going on right now over in the Middle East. And if you think anything other than that, you start bringing up ISIS and terror and all this other bullshit, it is exactly that, bullshit. It's all about money. The love of the American dollar.
That's it. And look what happens. I mean, we have to wake up as people. Whether you're in Europe right now, whether you are in Mexico, whether you're in California, whether you're in Alabama, whether you're in Canada, wherever you are, we're blessed enough that this radio show goes out across the internet, which goes out across the world. But this is time for people to wake up, see the situation in front of them, Stop bowing down, even if it's subconscious, to these governments. Stop giving in to fear. Everything we do is because of fear. Even with the Nestle story, something like that. This company has this water supply. We as humans can go out there and just start pulling pipes out. Mm-hmm. You know what? Nobody's getting hurt. That's not violence. That's not hurting someone. A company can't own water. They can't own water, okay?
Out of the earth. Wait a minute.
Sorry.
Wait a minute. We've already kind of proved that it's not coming straight up out of the earth. Not like what they're advertising it.
No.
And if you're an idiot, you're an absolute idiot if anybody is holding a bottle of Arrowhead water right now. And go and look. Just turn the label over and read some of the fine print. Definitely do not, under any circumstance, buy anything from Nestle. Because I'm going to tell you one thing right now. They're involved in some of the shadiest of the shady. The story that
hashtag boycott Nestle.
Absolutely, man. I don't know why that's not a thing right now.
It is. I've already made it a thing.
Massive.
It's happened.
Yeah. Okay. It's done. Well,
me and Nick will get on that tomorrow. We'll make sure that happens. We'll make sure the entire world of social media knows that happened, and we'll see where it goes. The last time
it's bad enough. The whole story's bad enough as it is, just on the surface. The fact that Nestle's given, $520-some for over how many years now? Gosh, a ridiculous amount of time. They've just paid the Forestry Commission a paltry $500 licensing fee or tapping fee, whatever it's called.
And here's the thing, though, that the license has already expired.
Yeah. So, and because they can't quite clarify as to what the license should consist of, then, we'll just let you go ahead and pump all the water out. That in and of itself is bad. But the problem is that this is happening right now in one of the worst droughts of California, at least as far as the history of weather keeping goes. This is one of the worst droughts that California has faced ever. Water supplies are diminishing the single digits. I mean, it's horrible. It's really, really, really bad out there. And here's Nestle just pumping away.
Here's a question. I don't care if you're on the left, if you're on the right, if you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, whatever. If you've ever looked to the government to fix your problem, can there be an example for that? What problem has the government fixed?
Terror. Well, we don't have to worry about terrorists no more.
Mm-mm. I tell you the problems the government can fix. They can fix problems when there's somebody like Martin Luther King in the world, and they're not causing division, but they're causing people to come together.
Yeah, Kim Davis is not Martin Luther King.
No.
She is not Rosa Parks, as I've heard her being compared to over
the
past couple of days. She's nobody. She's a media whore. Is all she is. She got her attention. We give it.
But
to
again,
her.
The issue is not about this one woman. The issue is about the government. She is deflection to get it off of them. That's it. Focus on her. Don't focus on the government. What's the government done to fix your problem? Okay, there's government housing right down the street. Doesn't look like the nicest housing in the world. Granted, people have a roof over their heads, but I'm thankful that's, not how I have to live my life. God bless those people, though. People shouldn't rely on the government. Thank you, Shannon. Parting words. Oh. Anytime you get ready to go out, let's do it tomorrow.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.